If we've got nobody coming into the industry, we're basically, for want of a better word.
Unless we change something drastically, there's not going to be an industry left.
It will get to you. Your rent will rise, your utilities will rise. You will get to a point where it doesn't make sense anymore.
That is not fair to just, if we're not getting the right support, to just put the taxes up, because it is just suckering the little man every time, isn't it? So, no, that's not fair at all.
As an industry, we have to get our head around how this works and what we can do to support each other and things like this to actually try and influence policy so we get a shift.
Save our barber shops, save our salons, save our apprentices. Get behind this campaign.
Hi, welcome to the Noble Barber Podcast. I'm Anthony Laban, and we'll be talking to various people in the industry who've made it and their journey and how they got here. Talking honest, cutting through the crap, and making sure your story and their story is heard to help your business and hopefully mine. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hi there, I'm Anthony Laban and I'm here at the Noble Barber Podcast. We are outside in Parliament. We are here in Parliament Square Gardens. We are trying to make a podcast, hopefully making a podcast today, speaking to several barbers who are here supporting the shout for government to reduce VAT, change the threshold and take the industry more seriously. I'm here now with Dan Davis, who's looking very beautiful in the campaign smocks. Dan, thank you very much, mate. How are you going?
Yeah, I'm going good. How are you?
I'm all right. I wanted to catch you because obviously everyone knows you and speaks to you, and it's just wanting to gauge how you feel. How you feel the industry has changed in the last, say, 5 years. Where certainly in the last year we've been talking about the changes Rachel Reeves has brought in, but this has been going on a long time, and barbers are struggling. How do you see things changed over the last 5 years or so?
I think it's on its knees, to be honest with you, Anthony. There's so many people now, they're struggling like hell. You're seeing big shops, big companies go down from many salons to one or two. People are going to completely changing their model, going to self-employed one. Hardly anyone's employing anymore. And unless we change something drastically, there's not going to be an industry left.
And that's what seems to be the resounding message that everyone's speaking about today is, no one's making any money out of this. No one's making any real money. Barbers are working really hard. Hairdressers are working really hard. We're all standing behind the chairs. We're all trying to kind of juggle and muggle to try and make some money. But we're not making fortunes. We just spoke to Adam that we're putting our prices up really just to lose less money rather than make more.
Yeah, I mean, most of the ones I've been speaking to, I'm lucky enough where I get to speak to a huge network up and down the country, and there's no one really before lockdown and stuff like that. The success stories what you were getting, and the stories what you're getting from people. Everyone was gaining, everyone was developing, everyone was learning, everyone was getting something out of it. But now, just more and more people just leaving the industry completely. Really great barbers and great companies just either shutting down or moving on because they can't make any money. And something has to change in order for this to work, because there's nothing left on the high street. Your barbers and your hairdressers and your nail bars and stuff, that's about the only community-led thing there is left. And if we haven't got any of that going on, what have we got on the high street? Nothing.
And that is the big bit of community that brings that nurture back in, that people do speak to us for the first time some days, and that interaction with people. I mean, you still work behind the chair, and I'm not knocking that.
Yep.
But you're now working with Forest as one of the online appointment booking apps.
Yeah.
So you're in and out of stores constantly. And obviously everyone's reports, and that's becoming more vital to everyone as they're trying to find their pennies. Is this the same message you're getting pretty much everywhere?
Yeah, so what we've been doing as Forest is just basically talking to all our clients and seeing what do you need from this, and the message from all the industry and from all the people that use Forest is the same, that something needs to be done, and this is why we're all here today. There's many Forest customers here today who've been great to meet up with, but we're all saying the same thing, that something drastic needs to happen, and unless the government listen to us and some change is happening, then you're going to get less shops on there.
Yeah. And that seems to be it, that we're seeing the kind of past the traditional level of barbering and salons. You're kind of really looking into the abyss that it's going. I mean, I saw a report that we've lost 4,500 barbers and hairdressers in the last 12 months. Something like 20% are saying that they don't see themselves making it through this financial year.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest, it's the good ones that are going as well. It's the good ones that are paying the tax, they're doing the right thing, they're employing people, they're bringing apprentices on, and they're trying to do the right thing. And we're being hit the hardest, those sorts of people. The ones that aren't doing that sort of thing, the ones that are going under the table, they're not being, there's nothing happening to them. But the people who are earning good, honest living and trying to make the industry better, they're the ones that are being targeted, and that's not right.
Yeah. No, it does feel like that, and I think there seems to be that level of injustice.
Yeah.
And equally, you know, if it happens to good quality high brands, you're seeing some very big name brands closing down shops.
Yeah.
This isn't just like one man bands that are struggling and going under. These are established long running businesses that are finally deciding to lock up because they're recognising that year after year they're just not making money.
Yeah, and despite what I mean, people may have different opinions of bigger companies and that sort of thing, whether you see it as a big, like a tier system or something. But if you don't have these big leaders going on in there, there's no one bringing on apprenticeships, which then go to the smaller salons or something. We need the bigger salons to thrive in order for the industry to thrive. We need these big companies to be happening, and more of them are going out. So, like, unless something's done really, really quickly, Anthony, we're going to be absolutely knackered as an industry. Unless something happens in the next few months, I can see this getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, that does seem to be the message that's coming through, that we're no longer building anything for the future, that we're seeming to just try and survive in the present, and we're not really managing that very well at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, with the things what are happening with the minimum wage, with the apprenticeships as well, who can afford to take on an apprentice now? There's no one taking on an apprentice. All the rates have been put up for everything, so it's unaffordable. And like, I mean, I was lucky enough to get in the industry through an apprenticeship, and like, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. But if it wasn't for that apprenticeship, I wouldn't have a house. That started off everything. And like, if we stop that, and like with these ridiculous rates what are happening and the increase of stuff which is meant to be there to help people, but all it's done is hinder people.
Yeah, and that's why you're seeing more and more people trying to make money out on Instagram, on side hustles, on training, on anything and anything.
Yeah,
that people are really just wanting to cut hair, but they're just not making the money out of it.
There's no money there to be made. I mean, you're better off just like cutting hair on the side and trying to get some money that way, because if you're doing it the right way, which is the way everyone should be doing it, you're getting victimised. So if they want the industry to thrive, they need to help us. If they don't, then it's just going to be on its knees, and it's just going to go back to people just cutting hair on the side and doing that sort of thing. And none of these big high street brands, or no one's going to survive.
And I mean, Forest have been amazing and put. I mean, I read somewhere 35,000 euros into the fighting fund.
Yeah.
You know, it shows huge support, but it obviously shows that a big company like Forest that's very involved in the industry is obviously worried for it too.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been listening to our customers, big and small, and we really felt that we needed a presence here today, both in Ireland and in the UK, and we'll support this campaign for as long as it lasts.
Hi there, yeah, I'm here now in Parliament Square with sirens, with everybody else, talking to Luke Dolan. Luke, how you doing, mate?
I'm very good, mate. I'm very good.
Obviously, this is a large amount of hairdressing and the barbering industry are here today.
Yeah.
And the big talk is obviously to try and convince government to reduce the VAT.
Yeah.
How are you finding for your day-to-day in business how this has and will affect you?
If I'm completely honest, the VAT cut won't help me and my business right now. The cut might bring in some more apprentices to a shop somewhere else that comes to work with me later. This is more context. This is more about an industry that's never unified, to have a go at unifying as one voice, as barbershop and salon and all the rest of it. So this is going to be a long fight, I think, which is where we come together more as one, that we turn this 500 into 1,000, into 1,500, into 3,000, and until we clog up Parliament Square, and then someone actually looks at a forgotten industry, which we have been. They've never done anything for us over the years. So
no, I mean, I think that's one of the big things, and I think we're almost solely responsible for keeping the high street going. I mean, certainly your high street with the amount of barbershops that you now have on yours. Yeah. But it keeps people coming out and physically out into the streets spending money locally.
We are footfall. You know, if you look at my high street, which there's be loads of people who agree with me, that, you know, there's 275, almost 300 shops that all the industries have left, have gone online, or they're just non-existent. So where the council are just so desperate for money, they keep letting units open, barbershops open, which is then because they know that we bring people to a high street. They think that adding more barbershops brings more footfall and might help everybody else. That's why they're doing it, not realising they're adding so much pressure to the bottom line that we'll end up closing.
And obviously on top of this, with the budget brought in the change to business rates. Has that hit you? I found mine has suddenly leapt.
It's gone up because I saw that in some of the Salon Employers Association. When they actually got the government to try and speak to them, they made a statement saying, well, we've still kept business rates low. And I was like, you've just taken it from 70% reduction to 40%. So our bills have gone up 30%.
Yeah.
That's massive.
And that's where we are at. And, averagely now they're saying that most barbershops and salons really are making, if they're lucky, 3 to 5% profit. Does that even sound real to you?
No, not at all. Most of us are running like paper thin.
Yeah.
Like, if anything. That's why do you think rent a chair is such a massive... people are just defecting to rent a chair or just renting a chair because it's a path of least resistance.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the footfall because of oversaturation and inflation to be able to afford to run a business. I think I was on your podcast before and I said £50 to £60 for a haircut, fact, which caused huge uproar because they thought that was for me or for barbering in general, barbers. This was to run a business.
Yeah.
And even at that money, you can't really cover costs. So it's such a... I don't believe that. I think most shops out there are running at 0 or minus. They're borrowing money and paying bills on credit cards.
I mean, that seems to be it. I mean, the amount of people I've spoken to, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this, are still clearing the end of a bounce-back loan that they didn't really want in the first place.
Yeah.
We've now got my business rates have gone up by 5-fold. That was a little bit of excitement behind us there. The big thing we spoke about previously when you were on was that the fact that with the threshold as it is, it almost is stopping growth and stopping companies wanting to grow. Do you still think that's the case?
Yeah, I think so, because I think context as well. I think because prices have increased and inflation and life's just become more expensive, no one's really tackled this VAT issue. I think that's why it's more prevalent now than it has been in the years before. Because now I think people are scratching their heads going, well, how do I make money? I've got to this, I built a thriving business. I've done everything that you're supposed to, what it says on the tin. Open a shop, fill it full of barbers, fill it full of people. And then technically I should be able to do all right in life. Yeah. And then you get there and you're like, it's not enough. Yeah. I don't have enough staff, I can't afford to pay them. They're all on minimum wage or not earning an awful lot. They can't afford houses, they can't afford cars. So what are we doing this for? And that's what the VAT is massive. 20%'s huge. Yeah.
And it's the leap, isn't it? That as soon as you hit that 90, your 91st pound turns into 80p.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
and worse, the 90 grand before it becomes £18,000 worth of tax.
Yeah. Well, this is the point. Is that 0 to 90 is what is that barrier to suddenly it's like a silent killer. Like you get to 90 and then everyone's like, oh shit, now what are we going to do? And then your accountant says, well, you've got to go VAT registered. And you're like, well, who's going to pay for it? Yeah. So you're like, do I tell the staff they're not pay? I've got to pay them less? Do I tell my customers that we're going to have to put the prices up? Like, who's going to foot the bill? But if we were already, here's the thing for the government, come out and say in the press that haircuts are now vatable.
Yeah.
Tell us and then everyone has to go VAT registered.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the big things about this lack of ambition is the fact as a barber, if you're busy and successful and doing really well, you're going to at some point hit that 90.
Yeah. You are going to hit that 90. And especially prices aren't coming down. You're going to see inflation still increase. You're going to see lots of things happen over economically in this country and the West in general. Those prices aren't going anywhere. They're just going up. And at one point, I wrote something yesterday. It's a bit like if you've seen Finding Nemo, right? There's a bit where Nemo teaches everyone to swim down to try and break a net, right? We're all caught in this net. Even if you've got a little bit of water, to swim around in and going, well, I'm okay now. It will get to you. Those prices, your rent will rise, the utilities will rise. You will get to a point where it doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
And we have to swim together to do that.
Yeah. And that's the very important message of why we wanted to be here today, is the idea that this isn't just about salons. This isn't just about this isn't just about the kind of employed model. This is everyone working everywhere. If it's not hit you yet, it's going to come and get you.
It will hit you. It will hit you. And if you think it's not, then we can't help you.
No.
Eventually, you'll get to the point where perhaps I should have done something.
Yeah.
But this is what today is for me. I thought even when I saw the thing that says we got a march planned, I immediately thought, no, I'm not going. Why bother? But this is why I'm here. I'm here because we'll see what happens over, many years of doing this, and hopefully, employment versus self-employment and freelancer. If we're all stood together, we can help each other.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if we disagree behind closed doors, but to the powers that be, we need to show that we're one.
Yeah. And that's the factor. We're all working harder than we've ever worked, and we're just not making the money we really should be.
Yeah, and the thing is if we made more money, it's not like we're going to fly our helicopters around or drive Ferraris. We're going to spend our money.
Yeah.
That will go into a cafe or a T-shirt company, or it will buy some extra food at the supermarket, which goes towards the salaries of these people. We spend our money, it moves the economy on.
Yeah.
If they free us up, we will then spend more money, we'll employ more people, and that money goes into the economy.
Yeah.
It's not like, at the moment, all we're doing is paying utilities and bills of other people that don't need it.
Yeah.
Like, landlords or big corporations that end up using this money to buy more assets.
Yeah. And our money generated is generally spent locally in our community.
Yeah, exactly. We use it locally. We want to buy a house. We want to buy a car. We want to spend our money. Yeah. That's what we're trying to make more to do. And that's the ridiculousness of this. We're just taxed into oblivion until the economy just falls, because we've got nothing to spend. Capitalism only works if you have capital.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Well said. I'm here with John Bradley. John, thank you very much, mate. Appreciate it. Good to speak to you.
Thank you.
So I guess, why are you here?
I'm here to support the other women and the other hairdressers that are here today, to try and make a stand and try and really make a difference in today and get our message across.
You may have seen John. He's dragged his chair up several mountains. You've been Nevis and Snowdon.
Snowdon, yeah.
And he even did one up the Eiffel Tower. I'm sure that's where people will recognise you from.
I hope so, yeah.
But you're in Essex.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And House is not the biggest city.
No, it isn't. No, it's a very, very small town. But we're trying to make a big difference in it.
No, sure. And you can see what this has done to get people together for being here.
It's amazing. Amazing to be here, yeah. Around so many passionate people as well. Yeah, it's amazing.
And you finding in your store that things are difficult?
Yes, yeah, very difficult, yeah. We are struggling. The boss, Bobby, she is struggling, yeah. She'd love to do more, love to take apprentices on, and the funds just aren't there. It's just not possible. So, yeah, she is really struggling.
Do you carry apprentices at the moment?
We did, but we've recently not been able to take any more on. She's literally last week had to say no to a couple of very, very talented young girls. So, yeah, we're struggling. We are struggling. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the message that keeps going through today, is that apprentices are going to be the ones at the very sharpest end.
It's our next generation, isn't it? It is our next generation. And if there is no one to carry that on, then we are going to be no more. So it's very important.
No, I think that's it. The government are trying very hard to exploit us into shouldering all the costs and expenses of apprentices, and then blaming us for not creating the next generation.
Yeah, well, they leave us at a bit of a loss. We can't really do much without the younger generation bringing it up, can we?
No. I think everyone says it's like, oh well, put the prices up.
No,
a town like Halstead, you can see they're your customers, they're your people.
Yeah, they are.
That are coming in, and you're constant. You can't just keep.
No, that is not fair to just if we're not getting the right support to just put the taxes up, because it's just suckering the little man every time, isn't it? So no, that's not fair at all. No, we can't do that. And they're friends as well. You can't do that to friends.
No, I think
they become family, and they become part of who you are. So yeah, you
But
can't.
more
put
and
the
more
prices
people
up.
I've spoken to really aren't putting prices up to even make money. They're trying to put them up to just not lose so much.
Yeah, or to literally cut even,
Just-
keep the lights on, and then there's no drive for progression if you are literally just trying to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
You want to obviously make your passion known to everyone. So
And that's
yeah.
what you can see here today. From your point of view, how long have you been in the barbering industry?
Just over 4 years now.
So
yeah.
you're 4
Yeah,
years in.
yeah.
I've spoken to people who've been in here 40. So
I can imagine,
yeah,
yeah,
the
crazy.
level of passion that runs through here
Yeah.
is really strong. People want it to survive
Yeah,
for a
they do.
future.
Of course they do. Yeah, it is the next generation, isn't it, coming up? But yeah, it is amazing to be around so many passionate people. I love events just like this because you get to be around people, like you said, who've been doing it longer than I've been alive. So yeah, it's amazing, absolutely amazing. Very, very talented individuals here. There's a lot of people in there. Yeah.
And you have been cutting some hair live out there. You've been doing it.
Yes, I have. Yeah. Apart from one guy put a hat straight back on, which wasn't very nice. But yeah, so I'll be around all day.
And that's the
I've got
bit I
chair
think
with
that
me,
gets
so-
forgotten, that we are at kind of needed part of the needed part of the economy. Not only are we paying a lot of taxes, we're putting an awful lot of money in.
We are,
And the
we are.
people that you work with presumably live around the area. They spend their wages locally. You do,
They do,
and
yeah.
that keeps your village, town. What's Housted?
You're a town, yeah.
Yeah,
Town,
it keeps
yeah,
your
Housted
town.
town,
Not
yeah.
being disrespectful to Housted,
No, it's
but
not.
it keeps that town viable and functioning.
It does, and there are many businesses that have been running for the salon I work in. It's been running for nearly 10 years. Bobby's been doing a fantastic job there, and there's bakeries and other establishments that have been running, and it's a very close knit family run town, and it is becoming hard to keep.
How is
the
your high
basics
street
alive.
looking?
Not very good. Not very good. There's lots of places that are being taken over by other industries that aren't as necessarily as important as barbers and hairdressers and salons. So yeah, it's a massive shame. Massive shame. Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing that goes with this. I think we bitch and talk about these, but the shops with 30 or 40 barber shops appearing, but we're seeing more and more streets with less and less shops on that are just closed down to let. That this message that business is difficult on the high street,
It is, yeah.
and we're paying the most tax in our industry than anyone else. So of course we're struggling.
Of course we are, yeah, and it is something that needs to be done now rather than later, because apprentices, like we said, apprentices are the next generation, and if the message isn't done now, no one's going to want to come into the industry, and we will die out.
Yeah.
It is very important, yeah.
And it does get to that point. I mean, I know you've done a huge amount for charity, and you've
Yeah,
raised
and
amazing
I'm
things.
continue to this year. Yeah, I'm going to be doing lots of charity events, more mount-ins, more trips. So yeah, hopefully lots more people can come out and raise some more money for me and mind as well.
But that's the problem now. We're starting to feel that salon life and barbershop life is almost, as an owner, becoming a bit of a charitable affair these days, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The government seems that we should be training our people as a charitable fact rather than being rewarded and funded for it.
No, that's not the way that's not the way that life should be. It should be a passionate thing that you seek the reward for, and they want to do the same and push it further. So no, it can't be a charitable case. Can
No,
it?
but
We're not going to get anything done if it's like that. No.
But this is what it feels like. I'm really sorry you've ended up losing your apprentices at your place.
I know.
And
We've
unfortunately,
lost some and not being able to take any more on,
Yeah.
which is, for barbers as well. I've had to sort of not being able to take people on, and Bobby's not been able to take anyone else on either. So we're at a bit of a loss because one day we will have families and children, and they are the future. So yeah,
I mean, all the hundreds
It's a
of
massive
people
shame.
here who have made a career and made a life out of our industry are still passionate and still enthusiastic. There's not going to be this next generation that are buying their houses and making their lives from our industry. It's going to be gone, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You're right. Yeah, it's very important. But.
Yeah. I'm here with Joe Mills. Hey, Joe, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. All good.
We are being shouted at from behind. I'm hoping you can hear us and picking up with the atmosphere. Joe, I wanted to catch you because you have, the hybrid model in the fact that you have self-employed, you have employed, and most importantly, you're training people for the future, and you have apprentices.
Yeah. We have we've got 5-6 apprentices at the moment that obviously we train in Salon and we send out to education providers as well. A lot of what this whole conversation that the people behind us are talking about is about how we can, as a business, make it more profitable. So, apprenticeships are massively under threat because of, a lack of funding to us, but also, the cost that of running a business, especially with the shift with the budget that kicks in April now. The on costs for us as an employer is quite, it's weighted against us.
Yeah, I mean, we were speaking earlier, and you were saying actually when any of us have a chat with our accountants, one of the first things they say is, well, can you not cut some apprentices and save yourself some money?
Look, if you're outside the industry and you look in and you think about what we do, an apprentice is it doesn't create a revenue, argumentatively. Yeah. Like, it facilitates the business, and for me, how I look at it we get the opportunity to have homegrown talent. You can grow your team, you can invest in that, but realistically, you're looking at a 3 year investment of money. You only normally get them 2, maybe 3 days a week working for you, because by the time they're at college one day, you train in-house one day, you get them 3 days a week on the shop floor, and it's a big investment.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And they're saying now, I mean, the CBI report came out that they would be almost done, that apprenticeships, certainly in the barbering industry, is almost done, with the amount of self-employed in the industry and the expense of bringing one in, that it's almost gone.
I totally agree with that, and as in that statement.
Yeah.
Not agree that it. No. I agree with that statement. I think the problem is that unless you're a business owner that looks further down the line and understands what your growth of your business is, the investment of an apprentice doesn't seem viable.
Yeah.
And if you don't have new talent coming in, you're only leaving the door open for 12-week MVQ level 2 courses, which isn't really what is going to create a thriving industry. So I think that's a really big sticking point.
And obviously with providers, yourself like me, there is this day a week you have to send to providers. I've made myself very clear that I don't feel that the funding that comes from government, the £9,000 a year that is given to these providers, is a fair kind of placement of the money. Do you feel that should be looked at?
I think I've got no issue with the provider being paid.
Yeah.
But I think there should be a massive incentive for me to take an apprentice on.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that I don't pay them any money, but I think the government should support me in putting people into a workplace and providing an education. And if I'm providing them a 2-year workplace with a qualification, and off the back of that, stuff like that, then I should be supported. It shouldn't just be the onus of the financial burden of that be on me.
No, and I ask everybody this question, so I'm not ganging up on you.
Oh, no, I appreciate that.
But I mean, I have to train once a week, and I train more if I can. But do you feel most of your training for your apprentices is done in your store, physically by you and your team, or is the majority done by the provider at college?
There was a meeting this morning with my apprentices about why we do training on a Monday and what the benefit is. And the conversation was, if I just left you to do your MVQ level 2 or 3 at college, do you feel that you'd be of a standard that you'd be able to work for me? They all said no. And I said, that's why you're in here on a Monday, and I'm paying for my team to educate you, for you to have the best opportunity.
So that's where I come back. So I've got no problem with a provider being paid for services rendered, but it does feel like a lot of paperwork is covered for £9,000 and none of the physical training. And this has got to add to the fact of it's a lack of incentive that will kind of create the demise of barbershop apprenticeships.
Well, I think yeah, definitely. And also as well, it's understanding you have to have growth within an industry for it to continue to exist. And if we're not bringing new people in, whatever age, but especially younger people as well, they're our next generation of what we do. They're the next salon owner, they're the next barbershop owner, whatever it may be. That's really important to us, that we really focus on that.
Yeah.
And I think that unless we get some sort of support from government about how we fund all this, it's always going to be a sticky point, because as a business owner you cannot it's really hard to turn around and go, I'm going to have 3 assistants on minimum wage and work 3 days a week.
Yeah.
What, between 14 and 16 grand in London.
Yeah.
Okay, for someone around 20, 21. Okay, so you're 3 of them in, you've got to find 50 grand.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's one of the calls. The idea of the reduction of the VAT is to allow more money to stay in the stores to finance that.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's hairdressing, barbering, or whatever. VAT is VAT. It exists. There's thresholds and stuff like that. But fundamentally, as an industry, we have to get our head around how this works and what we can do to support each other and things like this to actually try and influence policy so we get a shift.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. I think us coming together. This isn't separate camps. This is us as a hair cutting industry working together to be listened to and lobbied.
And barbering and hairdressing shouldn't consider itself that.
Yeah, and I think
we're the same thing.
We're here still in Parliament Square. It's getting windier and colder, and I'm here. Adam, thank you very much, mate. Adam Sloan is here to talk to me. How are you doing?
Yeah, very, very good. Well, a bit windy.
Yeah.
But it's a great cause, isn't it? It's a fantastic cause. I mean, and the turnout's phenomenal.
Yeah. No, it's been amazing.
Phenomenal.
But one of the things I wanted to grab you about was really to talk about the fact that this is watered down straight into the stores. This is having a huge effect on our shops, the taxation system. How does it feel on yours, which is obviously a widely respected and known business?
Yep.
But you're getting caned like the rest of us, surely?
Yeah. I mean, as of April, I'm going to be £208 a month per employee. There's 10 of us, so it's having a massive effect, and that'll have a net cost on me. And even worse is the apprenticeships.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just going to be no apprentices, is there?
No.
Coming forward, so it has a massive effect on my business and barbers, anybody paying VAT, and even people not paying VAT. This is our future, isn't it? If we've got nobody coming into the industry, we're fucked, basically, for want of a better word. So it's really important. It's blown me out of the water today, the support. And I know a lot of people are losing money being here today. I've been speaking to several people. They've had to leave their salons, cancel their clients. So it's very, very serious. And as I say, for me, it's the apprenticeships.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be no apprentices left if we don't get behind this. So, and I know this is a stepping stone. This is literally, I mean, I'm so impressed with this. I mean, it's fantastic, isn't it? But I mean, for me, it's a stepping stone, and it's if these guys in Westminster can listen to us, we're the beating hub of most communities, aren't we? Yeah. Barber shops, hairdressing salons, and I mean, we're just if you've got nobody coming into and one of the biggest things for me is, trying to get kids into the industry is tough enough. And this isn't probably helping in that respect. Because
but we're seeing more and more. I mean, we're still seeing people wanting to come in. We're seeing colleges absolutely crammed in. We're not seeing these colleges closing down their barbering courses. We're seeing them being extended. But these kids are getting no placement. So we're starting to rely on colleges to solely train them, which none of us can see that as a good idea, surely.
100%. Yeah, 100%. As I've said to you in the past, the premier is apprenticeships. It's the gold star. They've got 4 days in the salon or the barber shop, 1 day at college. I don't want to condemn colleges, but we all know that they're not getting enough haircuts. They're not getting enough practice, and it's not a real job environment. So it's really important that we get behind this. It's really important that we get behind this and support it. And it's the start of a journey, Anthony. It's the start of a journey. I am so proud of this today. And
but what we are seeing, I know we're talking about the VAT as the main thing here today, which maybe doesn't equate directly to a lot of people listening to this at the moment, but the big thing that's happened is it has become this very strong lobbying body that we are now directly talking to government as barbers, as people in the industry.
Yeah, totally. And I mean,
which we haven't had for a long time.
We've never had. I don't think we've had the unity that we're seeing here today. No. And this is serious shit. This is real serious shit. So hopefully we can, this is the start of it. I was chatting to a couple of the guys earlier, I know you've just interviewed Luke, and he said that next year we want thousands here. So it's going to be a long journey, but it's essential, mate. It's essential. Absolutely essential.
I think that's the big problem that we're not recognising. If you're not taking on apprentices, at some point there are going to be no new barbers. They're not going to appear. The 12-week courses are not going to produce enough quality barbers to keep the industry going.
No.
And I know at the moment we complain that there's 30 or 40 barbers in every street, but the opposite is a reality as well, surely.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's not just that. I think we all know, like, rents are going up, all the ancillary bills are going up. It's getting tougher and tougher and tougher. Where I've come from today in Rayleigh, we've had a new barber shop open up in the high street, and it's kind of watering down it as well. They're opening up everywhere, 1 and 2 man shops, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it's getting tougher, and these guys won't take apprentices on.
No,
they won't be taking apprentices on. So,
but as a personal point for your business now, I mean, obviously you guys are paying. You've got a VAT, you've got your regular taxes. You must now be seeing a rise in your business rates this last month. That must have happened.
Yeah, totally. And unfortunately, we're going to have to put our prices up on the 1st of April. We just have to. I can't run at a loss.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So between both businesses, we will be putting our prices up just to cover costs. And you know, and we know.
But you're not making more money out of this, are you?
No, I'm still going to lose money. But we've just got to try and recoup some of that cost.
But a ridiculous state we've got to, that actually we're putting our prices up not to make money. We're trying to do it to lose less money for a lot of stores.
That's exactly right, and that's what we're going to. I'm still going to lose money, but hopefully not as much.
I'd really like to keep talking about you as your individual business, because it is very respected. Everyone knows it, and as a pillar of the industry. Yeah, you're generational. You've been here a long time. You've seen it. You know, I came into the industry nearly 30 years ago, and we were looking at a 20% profit line when we opened. We're now looking, if we're lucky, for 3%. I'm told. How does a business like yours adapt in such a changing climate now?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing it does to me is we've always been big on taking on 3 or 4 apprentices, and 19 pluses are going to cost us 25k a year. So we will not be taking on 4 apprentices. We'll probably take on 1. So it has that effect. And for me, we need that blood. We need the kids coming in. To work for us or any of these guys here, we don't just want to take them on. We want to be part of our team going forward. These are an investment, and so for us, we'll probably drop from 4 apprentices to 1. Yeah. So a massive effect on our business.
And for everyone in the industry, because I would have thought the amount of people I've spoken to who have at some point worked with you as a trainee, and to lose that by 75% is horrific.
Yeah, and we've been going for sort of 48 years.
Yeah,
and we can only take 1 apprentices on going forward. So yeah, it's a massive effect. And like I say, we need them. You need that lifeblood coming into the industry, and it's
and that's the big call today. Really, is the idea of the reduction of VAT is to put more money back into the shops to allow things like. Like you say, if you're going to have 4 apprentices on 25 grand a year, you're 100 grand down in the bin straight away. And you've got no guarantee they're going to stay, you've got no guarantee, but you do know you're putting people into the industry who could at some point work for you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, 1,000,000% on that one. I mean, who can afford 25k? Do you know what I mean? And the colleges are keeping them, and the schools are keeping them till 18. So by the time they come to us, you look, and it's just 4 days with us, 1 day at college, and like you say, maybe 3 years down the line, you may get a return on investment on that student, who might then go self-employed and leave you. So yeah, it's a tough time. Salons as well as barber shops, 100%.
I mean, I think that's the big message I want. That keeps coming through here today is that this isn't barbers versus hairdressers. This is the haircutting industry. It's taken a hiding all the way across. This is not employed against self-employed. This is the fact that from a tax viewpoint, we're just taking such a hiding. It's now becoming not at all feasible to work how we always have done.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the VAT model, you're actually punished for expanding and growing your business, aren't you?
Yeah.
And that's sad, isn't it? The VAT is a killer.
Yeah.
In our town, the guy next door to us can be 10% cheaper than us, gain that client, and just because of the VAT system. So obviously that's one of the main reasons we're here, as well as apprenticeships, and as well as trying to get young people into the industry. And unless we get this, we're not going to get them.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. I think we are seeing the beginning. I've said earlier in these interviews that CBI had a recent report that said there will not be apprentices within the next 3 years. There'll just be no new apprentices being taken on in stores.
Well, I'm very fortunate to be one of the co-founder members of the British Hair Consortium, and that was something that we put together. Yeah. And that is absolutely true. These, it's an independent, as you know, the survey, and looking at the the stats, that's what's going to happen. Yeah. We'll have no apprentices.
Yeah. And that's it. You know, I came through an apprenticeship. You came through an apprenticeship. Most of the big, strong names in our industry that any of us would roll off and respect all went through an apprenticeship, and that essentially is, we're looking straight down the jaws of the end of that, aren't we?
100%. And my message today is save our barber shops, save our salons, save our apprentices. Get behind this campaign.
Well, we've been the Noble Barber. What a great episode. The passion and enthusiasm that's floating around here probably masks over the fact that actually the message is kind of terrible at the moment. And hopefully we can get some positivity and some motivation from the government to make things different. The real highlight has been seeing how improved the community is and how pumped everybody is to work together to make this happen. Thank you very much, and as the chant seems to be going, save our salons, save our barbershops. Keep yourself safe. Thank you. Welcome to the Noble Barber Podcast. We're always looking for interesting people and interesting stories. If you know someone or you are someone with a great story that you want to share, get in touch and come and join me on the sofa. Thanks very much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you next time.